Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a review of the entirety of the album by an act named Imbred, and this album is titled Gold. And if we switch over to here, we have the SoundCloud profile. We've got the SoundCloud playlist of this album. We've got the album art here with the SG in front of the amp. It's a nice looking SG, to be honest. So we kind of get a good example of what we're going to probably be getting into here, and that's cool. Now, Imbred is an interesting case. This is actually his 16th album, and usually when I get people come in with this amount of prolific distribution, you know you're going to be in for a ride. I've listened to some really fantastically interesting musicians such as, Westchester and other ones who have done hundreds, if not thousands of songs. And it looks like Imbred is a similar case with a lot of music on his SoundCloud profile. And actually, that's a respectable amount of followers. That's pretty alright, 775. Nice. What I like about him as well is that he's actually been trying to go and get promotion on stuff like Reddit as well. And I think that's really, really cool. He says, I'm a songwriter who makes punk and alternative music. I bought my own Reddit ads to promote my SoundCloud to try and get my music heard. I mean, a lot of you checked it out. Let me know what you think. Kudos to him. Not everyone has been super supportive, but to be fair to Imbred, he's dealt with the feedback incredibly well, even if it's been kind of visceral. So immediately I get a really positive first impression of Imbred just by the way that he kind of doesn't throw his toys when people are quite honestly kind of rude to him about it. I like the professionalism that's on display from Imbred to get feedback, to get advice from people, and he still has that passion for music, and it shows his strength as a human being as well as a musician. And I just, as a music reviewer, I'm objective with this. I don't say I like something just for the sake of it. I have to actually like the music I'm listening to, in order to say I'd like it, because that's what authenticity is all about as a music reviewer. So, we're going to listen through this entire album from start to finish and hear what we think. Starting with Depression. What the fuck are people talking about? This is dope, man. I love the way the guitars and the drums are mixed and how they sound in the stereo field. And it's got that gritty kind of alt grunge-ish rock vibe to it,
A black cloud is hanging over me. Bored and sad is all I'll ever be. Life without your love, it feels so bad. Wake up every morning, I feel sad.
These people that have been kind of getting stuck into Imbred, did they listen to music from the 60s and 70s? Like the rock from back then? Do they not understand that you don't have to have an auto-tuned, sterilized vocal performance in order for it to sound good? Imbred's showing an understanding of the vocal melodies and when to repeat them, and the sequencing of them is great. He's hitting the notes well, and I like the fact that he's harmonizing really well with the harmonic instruments of the mix. It's great.
Day is black and I feel blue. There is nothing I can do. Happiness is so unreal. Misery is what I feel.
Again, you don't need lots of vibrato or anything like that in order for an experience like this to be pleasurable. I mean, as someone who has reviewed 3 of King Cobra's albums, I can most definitely say I'm having a far better experience with this one. King Cobra has like 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's ridiculous.
A black cloud is hanging over me.
And back to that verse line,
Bored and sad is all I'll ever be.
A black cloud is hanging over me, bored inside is all over be. I mean, these are simple lyrics, but they accurately state the situation he's in. You can understand and maybe even empathize with him. And the roundaboutness of the riff there, the way it loops, just allows him to just do whatever the hell he wants with it. It's really smart songwriting.
Life without your love, it feels so bad.
A nice little change with the tone fill there.
Wake up every morning, I feel sad. Day is black and I feel blue. There is nothing I can do. Happiness is so unreal. Misery is what I feel.
It's great. Yeah, I've got no complaints, man. I mean, like, the guy is really nailing that part there, you know. It hangs in the air and it just sits there, and it's a nice tail end to the section. And it kind of makes it sound like he's really struggling with the situation, you know. He's calling out for help. You know, on the track as well, like, I don't want to pause it too much. We'll give it a moment.
Day is black and I feel blue. There is nothing I can do. Happiness is so unreal. Misery is what I feel. Happy.
It was a nice little solo section there, dude. It was articulate, it came in and did what it needed to do. It was a slightly different texture to the rhythm guitars there. It was minimalist, but you don't need a shreddy crazy solo. You can just have this and it be enough.
Happiness is so unreal. Misery is what I feel.
There's no need to overcomplicate it, you know? Dope! No complaints, man. I'm very happy with that. Well done. Well done to Imbred for that with their first track, Depression. I believe we've got Anxiety next, something I'm familiar with. Oh, it's a bit quicker, you know, which matches the vibe of Anxiety. Anxiety is very fast-paced. Drums are catchy as hell, dude.
Anxiety is killing me. Sometimes it seems like I can't breathe. My mind will never be set free. Need a break from reality. Yeah.
I mean, like, you could potentially lower the vocals a little bit in the mix and, like, have them sit a little bit better with the other elements of the mix. And, like, you could probably add a bit of an extra bit of an effects change to the vocals. But, like, for disregarding the production standpoint, we're aware of what melodies work with the vocals, with the guitar and the drum parts. I'm assuming there's a bass in there. It does sound like there's a rounded low end, although it's not that present.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Anxiety, it makes me frown. I'm feeling up, it brings me down. I want my mind to be set free. Need a break from reality. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I need a break from reality. Yeah. Yeah, it's like his perpetual turmoil. Yeah, I can understand what's going on in this track. It's easy to follow. The riff's catchy with those drums there. There's occasional fill or variations in the tails of the repetitions. It's great.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Anxiety is killing me. Sometimes it seems like I can't breathe. My mind will never be set free. Need a break from reality. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if we just have a simple, like, stanza that we want to repeat, that's fine. Who says we need to make it the Odyssey every time we do a song, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, I mean, aside from the post-production element and maybe re-examining it with, like, an extra third perspective from another mixing or mastering engineer, I don't really know what you'd need to do to improve it. Like, obviously, we could maybe work on some additional vocal technique stuff if we haven't already, but I feel like that's just something we want to do regardless. But, like, I don't feel that his voice is unsalvageable. Again, a lot of the indie rock has vocalists that sound a little bit like this. I mean, you listen to the chats, dude. It's not like they've got a fucking opera singer for like a vocalist, you know, like they're an awesome punk band, you know. In fact, polishing your vocals and making them pretty and palatable is exactly the opposite of what this kind of tone needs. If you have this perfectly easily digestible vocal You know, even with rock and metal, sometimes people can sterilize the crap out of like metal vocals, so that yeah, the growls sound heavy, but then they do auto tune to clean stuff in the chorus, and it's just like, which do you want? Do you want the pretty or do you want the brutal? I suppose both, right? But like, it doesn't suit texturally to have vocals that aren't a little bit rough around the edges. But you know, aside from maybe going in some vocal coaching, regardless, if we haven't already, we know we need how to hit the notes. I think this is just I think it's a good position to be in, and we can only go up from here, you know. Although I am sad to hear about the depression and the anxiety. I hope it improves from soon, you know. We got best friend though.
She's a girl from Tennessee. Yeah.
It's interesting, eh? I mean, like, I would maybe think we could potentially do something different occasionally with the starts of these songs. Like, for instance, Best Friend could have started with a filtered guitar part. You know, you could have like a low pass filter where we kind of had more of a kind of a radio kind of sound to the guitars, and then the drums come in later on or something like that. You know, there's little bits of post-production stuff we can do to kind of spice things up and add a little bit of variety to it, but the core ideas are good.
Yeah, fill my heart with jealousy. Yeah, she like drinking Hennessy. Yeah, think that she was made for me. Yeah, I love my best friend. 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 She's a girl from Tennessee. Yeah, fill my heart with jealousy. Yeah, she like drinking Hennessy. Yeah, think that she was made for me. Yeah, I love my best friend.
I mean, like, you get the ascension. You got a best friend from Jealousy, and he loves his best friend, you know, and that's it. The track is nice and easy to get. I understand what Best Friend is about. You know, when you hear the name of a track, Best Friend, you understand it's talking about a best friend. There's no more nuance that you need about it. Maybe people overthink music. I don't know.
My best friend. I love my best friend. I love my best friend.
You can easily hum along to that, dude. Like, you could potentially have, like, if he was to do, like, a live show or something, and, like, he had, like, a following, like, he could have, I love my best friend, and then they go, the crowd goes and repeats that, you know, like, that cool and response there. There's all sorts of fun things you could do with this kind of music, where, like, it's easy to get.
I love my best friend. I love my best friend. I love my best friend. I love my best friend.
Okay, we could have potentially gotten that note at the end a little bit cleaner there. But then I also, like, this is the thing, like, doing music reviews has ruined me as a listener to music, because, like, I can go and do acrobatics if I want to justify a concept. Not because I'm trying to be nice, but because I'm trying to be objective. You can kind of do that kind of run if you want to, where you go through the semitones if you want. And why wouldn't you do that? You know, who's to say how it should be done? As long as the pitch is okay, and as long as you hit the pitch of the right notes, and as long as you have a set start point and end point, and you get somewhere where there's a bit of resolution, if that's what you want, then you're going to succeed, right? The only thing I could say there for Best Friend is it would have been nice maybe if you had a bit of a twist at the end or something like that. Like maybe they were like drinking Hennessy together or something like that. I don't know. But again, it's about a best friend, and he's just excited and vibing with the fact that he has a best friend. We got Mary Jane next.
All I see is an empty plastic bag, waiting for my next pay. such a drag. I need some THC inside my brain.
I need some TNC inside my brain. So we're talking about marijuana, aren't we?
One more day without you, I will go insane.
Okay.
Mary Jane in my brain. Take away all my pain in my...
I think this is where I start to want there to be variation in the arrangement or the instruments or like something like that. I think this is where, okay, we're at that part 4 of the album out of 12, you know? Because this is a 12-part album or 12-track album. Could we not like have like an arpeggiated rhythm riff or something like that? Or are we trying to play the guitar and sing at the same time? I don't know, dude.
Mary Jane, take away all my pain. No worse feeling than my sobriety.
I like the fact that we're doing this halftime for this verse section. We're aware that we can let the stanzas or the lines of the verse run a little bit more longer and allow some space, you know, in contrast to that chorus section.
Plants are illegal, fuck society. I need some THC inside my brain. One more day without you, I will go insane.
I think this is where the limitations are starting to come in. Like, I would appreciate if we did like maybe a different like ending to the melodies sometime. Like maybe even added some vocal harmonies in there. Like, it's just the little things that as we go along and we develop a track, we want to change it up so that it remains fresh. And there's some changes with the drums, definitely for sure, but. And I'm liking the fact we do have guitar solos in there sometimes, but there's just little extra things we could do to spice it up and make it more exciting as we go along, you know?
In my brain, take away all my pain. In my brain, Mary Jane.
Oh, we're switching it up now, that's good.
Take away all my pain.
Okay, this is cool. We got another guitar solo. Could we not go up to like past the 12th fret or something like that? Because if you can separate the rhythm guitars a bit more from like maybe an octave or even a 2 up from that would be nice. You'd have the lead guitar a little bit more clearly than the rhythm if they're in different octaves, you know? Like, but maybe 2 octaves apart, actually, because I know that lead line is an octave apart, the rhythm.
Mary Jane in my brain. Take away all my pain.
I mean, it's inherently sad music, isn't it, really? Hearing someone talking about how they need the marijuana to take away the pain and they're pissed off, you know, they're unhappy because it's illegal and it sucks, dude. But we got the dependency.
Brain, Mary Jane, take away all my pain.
There seems like a lot of energy on that right side. I liked how I was kind of tripping out for a minute. I felt like I was going insane because I couldn't really hear enough stuff on that like left side of the stereo field, which is the right view. But when that crash came in on that side, it was nice. I remembered that my ears were hearing the higher frequencies again, which is good. I think that comes potentially because we haven't panned the guitar on both sides. And rock and metal, and just in case we're not already doing this, sometimes people just copy and paste the left side to the right side as well, but then you can have phasing issues where it sounds like it's in the center anyways. But if you can record the guitar on the left and then record it again on the right, you're going to get a way bigger guitar sound. And if you got the drum, like the kick and snare in the center, having the guitars recorded like that gives your drums and bass a lot more room to breathe. And you don't even need to necessarily sidechain the guitars, which you don't. You don't really want to sidechain the guitars, you know, in my opinion anyway, subjectively from a production standpoint. Happy. Yes, we've got clean guitars. We've got a change. Well done. Excellent. Thank you.
It's a sunny afternoon, and I'm feeling oh so happy. I don't have a thing to do, and I'm feeling oh so happy. Yeah.
I wish I had days where I had nothing to do, dude. I'd be pretty stoked about that, eh?
Yeah.
But then it's also like, but if you don't have anything to do, that means you kind of are just kind of, nah. It's good to have that freedom, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We like the yeahs.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now that shows a reasonable understanding of music theory to go for the you know, like that. For that major third interval was a fun choice there.
It's a sunny afternoon.
The reason I mention that is because usually he's working within the E minor key signature, but then the B major is the parallel major. So that's not your basic shit. That's not your basic stuff. There's a little more than meets the eye with this musician, eh?
Feeling oh so happy. I don't have a thing to do, and I'm feeling oh so happy. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a sunny afternoon, and I'm feeling oh so happy. I don't have.
Yeah, and I like the range here. We didn't necessarily need a solo on this one, although I kind of think we could have had a. See, this is the thing. I play guitar, so like for me, I can just kind of improvise a solo on the spot. But it's a problem because sometimes you've got to kind of remove yourself from thinking you know what's best for a track, even if you're reviewing it, because the musicians had their own subjective experience. Having a more minimalist approach to recording is nice. To songwriting is nice. It keeps things easy, palatable, and digestible.
A thing to do, and I'm feeling oh so happy. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Great change there with the vibrato there. I dig that, man. Smart move there. Great way to finish it. That's probably one of my favorites so far, to be honest. Like with that little drum fill at the end. That was one of my favorites. I'm not sure how Imbred has done the drums, but I'm nonetheless happy with it. Well done to him. We got Creep next, which as I understand it is... Oh, we are not screwing around, are we? Part of me wishes we could have like some more of an intro to some of these tracks. Like maybe just have the guitar or just have the drums or something. Just one element of it, just so that it's like, oh, wait, we've just got the riff, and then you can focus on the riff. And then, oh, the percussions come in. So then you can appreciate that percussion individually. It can be powerful for sure to have everything come in at once, but not necessarily always the best decision. But that's a subjective thing. I nonetheless feel like it works in a track like this where you want that heaviness to hit you in the face immediately.
They all think I'm insane. I think they're all the same. I'm happy when it rains. All I do is complain. They hate me because I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah, I'm a creep.
They hate them because I'm a creep. They hate them because they're a creep. That sucks, dude. That sucks.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah, I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely get that early 90s grunge vibe from this though.
They all think I'm insane. I think that
Like, I think that if, you know, Imbred had been making music in the early 90s, that would have been an absolute smash hit, man. It's just a day and age we live in, dude. Like,
they're all the same. I'm happy when it rains. All I do is complain. They hate me because I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a creep, yeah. You know, that's a fun melody there. I like how we descend and then kind of rise up a little bit for that for that sort of hook line. It's cool, dude.
I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah. I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah. I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah.
Again, I like the jittery, kind of juddery tone there with that dissonance and tension there in the center. It's kind of someone struggling with the accusations of being a creep and the fact that people hate them for it. It's another way of communicating that solo section, you know? Or that it's another way of communicating the themes of the track.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah. I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah. I'm a creep. Yeah, yeah.
Nice to have the solo section finish off, actually. Like, I think we already had enough of the vocals at this point. Like, we understood the story and what he was trying to communicate. So you can let the other instruments take the reign, you know? You know, like, we're at the halfway point now. We're up to number track 7, Valentine's Day. But I don't, you know, I've mentioned stuff I feel like we could improve. For the most part, I'm really happy with this album so far. Like, honestly, on my self-respect and honor and authenticity as a music reviewer, I genuinely think that this is a really good effort. And if we were to get a bit more vocal coaching or just to refine the technique there a little bit, and if we were just to sort of examine the post-production side of things and just say, make sure everything's sitting well in the mix, I think that'd be great. We've got Valentine's Day though, track number 7. I think that this is like a track that I've heard before. This is very close to the harmony of a song I've heard recently. Like one that's kind of well known. Could be wrong though, could be in another key sig.
Fell in love with a girl that I know. Never told me why she had to go. Now I'm feeling sad and alone. Feelings chilling me to the bone. She fucking hates me. La 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 la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la, she fucking hates me.
Is this a song? Is this like a cover or something like that?
La 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 la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la.
Is this like a cover of a song? I don't know the exact singer, but someone's singing it with like vocal fry. She fucking hates me or something like that. It sounds like a song I've heard before.
Too deep, lost in a dream. She was my love, she was my queen. Known her since she was just 17. Now I'm sad if you know what I mean. She fucking hates me. La 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 la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la.
Oh, that's a very present guitar solo, isn't it? I wonder if these have all been played with his SG. It's a kind of SG-ish kind of lead tone at the moment.
She fucking hates me.
It's got that brightness that comes from those types of pickups there. And you don't get a really thick, full sound to it. It's like a kind of a cutting kind of sizzly kind of lead tone, you know?
La la la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la, she fucking hates me. La 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 la.
Okay, I'm happy with that, man. I ain't got massive complaints about that track. I mean, it does sound like I've heard at least a similar melody or a style of phrasing that that hook line before, but that's okay. That was Valentine's Day. Yeah, things didn't end up very well for people involved in that situation. They did not have a happily ever after, which is a shame. It sucks when that happens, you know. Valentine's Day is a bit of a brutal day, and I remember when I was younger, I used to hate it. But enough about me. Scars, number 8. I gotta handle it though, that if that is the guitar, it handles those distorted tones well, you know? This lead line, did we tune the guitar before the take? Because I know it's a pain in the butt to tune it before each take, but certain guitars go out of tune as you play them. Like particularly their G strings, you know.
Fear I'm losing my mind. I'm going insane.
Because the rhythm part's perfect.
Feel like I can unwind. Darkness in my brain. Oh, another day that I can be depressed. Another day that I couldn't care less. Another day that I can be depressed.
See, I'm nodding my head without even being aware of it, dude. Just the solid groove of the guitar, drums, and the lead line. It's just sick, man. Everything's in unison. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chord no groove is strong, man.
Another day that I couldn't care less.
Chord note accents, anyways.
I don't belong. Feel like coming up now. All I do is wrong. Oh, another day that I can be depressed. Another day that I couldn't care less. Another day that I can be depressed. Another day that I couldn't care less.
So is the depression or whatever causing these scars, or are the scars causing the health issues? Is he like waiting for the day where those go away, or waiting for the day where he understands them?
Oh, another day that I can be depressed. Another day that I couldn't care less. Another day that I can be depressed. Another day that I couldn't care less.
Damn, dude. The guy is suffering some real demons, eh? It's I'm really sorry to hear that Imbred is going through all that. But that can be the themes and subject matter for really interesting music if you know what you're doing. And this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Like, I'd rather someone make an effort to put their music out there, do their best to record, produce, just sing and play it. I'd rather that than you know, they wait until they're at the point they think they need to be in order to do it. Like for me, like when I only started releasing music professionally like very recently because I was so hard on myself. But it's not like this sounds like it's not terrible music. There's bits we could improve as we go along, which I'll sort of outline further in the conclusion. But like there's definitely potential, you know. Bored, track number 9.
I'm staring at the clock. The time is passing slow. I have nowhere to be. I have nowhere to go. My mind is my worst enemy. My worst enemy.
I like how we're going to these open chords here and switching from the arpeggios. That decision there, that range is well done. That's well considered.
My worst enemy, my worst enemy, yeah, yeah. I'm staring at the clock. The time is passing slow. I have nowhere to be. I have nowhere to go. My mind is my worst enemy. My worst enemy.
The imagery is so visceral, imagining someone just staring at the clock with nowhere to go. It makes me feel very bad for him, you know? And due to that, the combination of his vocals and emotional content there, as well as the instrumental parts, it's almost like the whole experience is like connected, and it's almost like it all makes sense together, you know?
My worst enemy.
Kind of like that's the point of music, right?
My worst enemy, yeah, yeah. I'm staring at the clock. The time is passing slow.
Like, I'm not a massive fan of that, boy. You know, I'm not a massive fan of that, but it's kind of unique at the same time. I can't really knock it that much. I don't want to tell the guy how to write his music. And sometimes being unusual can be what allows people to take interest.
Have nowhere to be. I have nowhere to go. My mind is my worst enemy. My worst enemy. My worst enemy. My worst enemy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he just finishes on my mind is my worst enemy. You know, he's bored. There's nothing he can do, so his mind decides to kick in and stir the pot. The song doesn't make it sound like it's going to resolve with the minor arpeggios and all that. Like it's looping and how it never, and it's just, maybe it won't stop. And it's sad, dude. It's a sad song. I know this is a very visceral insight into who Imbred is as a human being, you know? Despite my understanding being that they're quite a private individual, which I think is a smart idea. At the same time, you're getting a lot with this if you just pay attention, you know? We got Sweet Leaf, I think. That's a fun slidey bit of going on there, eh?
Lately, save me, heal my troubled mind, be my medicine, want you and your kind. They can't save me.
Ba-dum, ba-bum, ba-dum.
They can't
There's something really kind of heavy and savage about that.
save me.
Bum, bum, bum. So like you've got the minor first there, and then you've got the fifth, and then you've got the what would that be? That'd be the, yeah.
They can't save me. They can't save me.
They can't save me. There's a real sense of desperation there, isn't there?
Take my problems, blow them
A little more intense
up
here.
in smoke. Without your love, my life is a joke.
Oh, that's not good. That sucks, man. That's not sounding very pleasant at all.
They can't save me.
Again, simple rhythm riff
They
here.
can't save me. They can't save me. They can't save me.
Again, this is the perfect place to put a solo, and I gotta give a shout out to Imbred as well for keeping these tracks between like 1.5 and 3 minutes. You don't really need more than this if you can tell your story within that time frame, right? Again, especially when you want people to pay attention to your music, there's no need to sort of over-egg it and add different sections that are potentially filler material. Again, I feel like this is one of those situations where you could have potentially put the guitar a bit further up the fretboard on that lead line just to help the bit stand out.
They can't save me. They can't save me. They can't save me. They can't save me.
They can't save you. That was a weird kind of sense of exasperation at the end there. I'm not really sure what it was meant to represent. Man, you really get a sense of the turmoil that Imbred's in from this material, eh? Sweet Leaf. Watching it go up in smoke. I initially thought that Sweet Leaf was kind of a callback to Mary Jane or something like that, but I think there's a bit more going on. Yeah, some of these tracks, the way they're structured, they're easy listens. It's just the lyrics and the subject matter, which are kind of difficult to absorb, you know, because they're fairly intense. But nonetheless, we're up to track 11 now. We've been smashing through this. Sober. Okay, a little bit quicker with this one. That's fine. That's fine.
All I see is an empty clock.
Nice change here. Nice change, having that different drum fill at the end there with the crash coming into this verse section. Smart move.
Plastic bag. Waiting for my next pay is such a drag. I need some THC inside my brain.
Oh, okay.
One more day without you, I'll go insane. Misery, swallow me.
Misery, swallow me. Shit, man.
Misery, swallow me. No one's feeling that my sobriety.
Boom. I'm liking that crash coming in there. It's got a real groove to it. I'm not sure if we have a bass guitar in this.
Illegal fuck society.
I just feel like this would be a little bit heavier if we had that bass, you know?
I need some THC inside my brain. One more day without you, I'll go insane. Misery, swallow me. Misery, swallow me.
And we see we're going up in that frequency range here, and it allows us to sort of hear that guitar a little bit more nicely. You know, that development there. You can even stay in that mid-range if you want to and go up on the second half.
Misery, swallow me. Misery, swallow me.
Yeah, so we're struggling without the THC in our system, and we're going insane, and misery swallow me. Being sober sucks, I suppose. Yeah, that's tragic, man. That's tragic, dude. We got Television, though. Track number 12, the last one for today, off of the Gold album. Now, shout out to Imbred for finally starting the track without the guitar and drums. I like the fact we had a boom, you know, that sound there. Just a bit of a shake-up, you know?
Television, such a bore. Television makes me snore. Television, such a bore. Television, I ignore TV. Yeah, yeah, TV. Yeah, yeah, TV. Yeah, yeah, TV. Yeah, yeah, television's really lame. Every channel is the same.
Yeah, it is. Television is terrible, dude. It's absolute garbage, man.
Television,
Like there was potential for it, but then they realized the internet was taking people away and they got desperate.
your brain. Every channel is the same. TV. Yeah, yeah, TV.
We love the yeah-yeahs, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, TV. Yeah, yeah, TV. Yeah, yeah.
I think he's getting a little bit more explored with some of these solo sections in this part of the album, and I adore that to pieces, man. I really hope he continues to explore that fret range, add some more ornamentation than there. Keep that rocky, bluesy vibe going if you want to, man, but still.
TV. Yeah, yeah, TV.
Nice way to finish it out, man.
Yeah, yeah, TV. Yeah, yeah, TV. Yeah, yeah, TV.
Does he finish with that Tom Phil more than once? I'm not sure, but look, anyways, it's the conclusion of this track, this album, sorry, Gold by Imbred. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I am pleased to say that for the most part I did. I did actually quite like my time with this album. Granted, I know this may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you've got to understand that as a music reviewer, I've reviewed thousands of songs. So I've heard a big range of different songs in regards to their quality, genres. This has got, I don't know where it would necessarily stack in the spectrum, because I've listened to some real garbage, objectively terrible music that is reprehensible and cannot be salvaged at any point. And it's sometimes it's made by musicians who just should know better, and they don't, and they just assume that people will just swallow up and eat whatever the hell they want to. And even some really famously massive, successfully popular songs I've disliked on the level of, yeah, I know that they're famous, but this is just a kind of a crappy song, right? I enjoyed my time with Gold. I think that if this is the best efforts that Imbred has put in, I think that there's promise for these. The 16th album, I'm wondering how we started and what changes have occurred between when we started and how we got here. Because it would have been a trip, Nobody's first album is necessarily their best, although there's some bands that never quite reach the pinnacle of that first impression, right? You never get the same hit the second time. You get more and more and more and more until it's untenable. But the stories that we had here effectively, I think this track was about Imbred as a person, their experiences with like their mental health stuff, best friends that they love, drugs like marijuana, being judged by people and being happy when they don't have as much to do, Valentine's Day, the scars that they have to deal with, and being bored and sober and television. And like, that's enough to kind of get a full understanding of a human being and what they're about in most situations, You go any deeper in that and you're having to ask some pretty personal questions. And I think the point of music is for the musician to communicate to you. And if they do that effectively, whether it's through the lyrics, which, I talked about the individual tracks and what they're about. And with the exception of Sweet Leaf, where there was a little bit of nuance I think I missed, everything else I could understand pretty well. Or at least I think I understood pretty well. The vocals, again, like, they're not perfect. We hit the notes most of the time. I'm not going to pretend that I think every decision made was absolutely perfect and flawless, but I could understand what we were going for here. The way that Imbred phrased his vocal passages was done in a way that was catchy and had I wouldn't necessarily say charismatic vibe, but it had a really kind of positive, pragmatic kind of attitude about it that I thoroughly appreciate. I think that, you know, he was trying to add vocals that would maybe suit the groove that he had sorted out. He had stories he wanted to tell, but I think the music is the most important thing for Imbred, and it shows here. Again, I really hope, this will be the final time I say it, I hope that Imbred can go to someone, if he hasn't already, and just to make sure his like technique's good. Not because I think he has trouble hitting the notes or anything necessarily, but because I think for him, if he's constantly singing with this part, and not using the entirety of his kind of like, this part as well as that, or, you know, obviously you want to kind of use more so this than singing through your throat, but he'll get more power out of it if he can master that, and I really hope he can, you know? But yeah, for most part I was happy with the vocal performance. There was emotional range in there. He did articulate himself well, and the words came through clearly. Part of that is because the vocals were quite present in the mix, but we'll get into that in a moment. It's totally fine. Look, to be honest with you, like, the songs had a verse, chorus structure with some bridges in there. There were solo sections, and you had the intro and outro. Sometimes the vocals led the outro, but you almost always had an instrumental intro, and that's fine. Television for me was a highlight in regards to the structure because we actually started it with something without the guitar and the drums. I like when we can filter stuff and have an interesting introduction to it, you know? That you need to instantly sort of communicate to the listener that every song is unique, unless you're deliberately wanting to make it a chronological journey, you know? And I'm not necessarily sure which of it was, and that's fine, you know? Especially if this is like a collection of his best tracks, in his opinion. It's more of a best of kind of album, you know? The musical performances, I'm not sure how the drums were done, but the drums were nice and tight, whether they were programmed or whether they were actually recorded. Either way, it's fine. It's fine, you know? A lot of people do it nowadays. You know, if he was to do live shows, I'm sure he'd probably need to go get a drummer sorted for that, but that's fine. The guitar riffs were recorded well. I was fairly happy with the riffs and the tones of those instruments there and a production standpoint. I don't know if we had a bass guitar in there. If we did, it was very subtle. We sometimes had clean guitar and sometimes had distorted or overdriven guitar. We didn't have much else, but I don't necessarily think having additional instruments would have necessarily helped us to enjoy the experience more. To be honest, a lot of these tracks weren't necessarily enjoyable primarily because the subject matter was not fun. You know, when we're talking about depression and anxiety and stuff, it's bittersweet, if not melancholic. And it's just, you know, you can groove along to the tunes, those power chord or riffs, those drum fills and stuff. Those arpeggiated clean bits there that came in the open chords. But if you take it all in, you've got to be prepared for a deeper kind of experience in that. And even though the lyrics, again, were relatively simple in most situations, I think that's kind of so that you can just take it in as a whole more easily. And I appreciate Imbred for doing that. The post-production, recording, mixing, mastering, I'm happy with it. I mean, sure, there were bits we could change. Like, again, I think the vocals were a little bit too present in the mix, but that can come down to the padding of the instruments, where the guitar is double-tracked. How are the drums done? Could we have had a bass guitar to balance out that low end? Could we have maybe necessarily had the guitars higher, the melodies higher, so that they stood out more in the overall harmony, you know? There's things like that. Could we have done some post-production filtering, automation on some of the parts to kind of make the intros and outros more interesting? There's all these things we could have done. Could we have put more of an effects chain on the vocals? Could we have had double track that and put that on the sides? You know, there's all these kind of fun things you can do with it. And I feel like while Imbred definitely passed the litmus test of can we write a song and distribute it and can it sound good, there's things I think we can do in future that will elevate it to the next level. I don't know. I mean, again, I know I showed that Reddit post at the beginning, and I didn't necessarily show the feedback on it. Some people were really supportive, and some people were real dicks about it. And I just think from you know, when someone's putting this stuff out there, there's just, you know, shit, man. It's so easy to be negative. It's so, and I'm not trying to say that this is like the next Mariah Carey that we've got going on, or the next friggin' I'm not going to pretend that we've got the next biggest album ever to be released on our hands here, but I think that Imbred did a fantastic job here, and I've got a lot of love for it. It was raw, authentic, honest, and it's music, and I got through it without feeling sad. It's a lot more than what I can say for some songs that I listen to from musicians that have a serious tenure in the industry, and I adore it for that. But effectively, that was my review. My review of Imbred's album Gold. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Imbred some love via their various social medias and their SoundCloud page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either hell more than there with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.